Hello, and welcome to the SharePoint Framework and JavaScript Special Interest Group Biweekly Sync. It is June 3rd. We've got a great call for you as usual. The latest updates on the SharePoint Framework. We got some patterns and practices updates, new community samples, optional picture time. Then we have a special topic today with Luca, Pat, and John on developing for Viva Connections. And this is also kind of a preview of SharePoint Framework 1.13. So excited to see that and get that out for all of you to check out as well. As always, opportunities to participate in the Patterns and Practices program. Super encourage you to demo any of your work with SharePoint Framework, with any of the Patterns and Practices offerings. I love to have those demos. I think it's one of the best parts of these calls is seeing all the great work all of you are doing out there for your customers and your companies. So first, of course, make sure it's appropriate to share, but would love to have you demo the work you're doing out there. Just reach out to myself or Vesa to get scheduled on an upcoming call. We also encourage you to contribute on GitHub. That could take the form of reporting issues, submitting pull requests, or of course, helping out with any issues or questions you see where you might happen to already know the answer. And finally, you can always provide feedback on everything we do. How are these calls? How's the documentation? Where else can we help? And of course, positive feedback is okay too, because if you like something we're doing, we could perhaps do a little bit more of it. And next up is our Pageo links. So tons of great links here, but all of them you can find from aka.ms/m365pnp. That will include our developer videos, which are topic-focused videos on how to perform various things developing for SharePoint Framework, videos around auth, videos around Teams development, but developer scenario-focused videos. As well, we've got our community videos, which are going to be the recordings of calls such as this one, the other special interest group call, as well as our monthly community call, and many other community calls across Microsoft 365 will be found there, aka.ms/m365/pnp/videos. And we've got a bunch of open source organizations that all welcome your contributions and feedback. So that's github.com/SharePoint, PnP, Office Dev, and Microsoft Graph. All have opportunities to contribute, to participate, and tons of great resources to get started inside all of those different spaces. So Graph, Office Dev, PnP, and SharePoint, tons of great content, tons of great stuff, as well as lots of wonderful samples to check out. We've got team samples, SPFx web parts, extensions, Power Platform samples, as well as list formatting samples. Goes out, always a great place to get started for all your projects. But again, all of that can be found at aka.ms/m365 PnP. So you don't need to remember all individual links. You can find them all on the Patterns and Practices landing page. Next up is Sharing is Caring with David.
Excellent. Thank you, Patrick. Well, friends, for those that are new to the community, it's important to know we are an open source and inclusive community, which means that we welcome you to use any and all of the resources that are available to you, as well as contribute back to those resources. But we understand that there are times when you might have some hurdles, such as how do I get involved with GitHub? Where do I go? How could I start using some of the samples with all these varying versions of Node and things like that. So Sharing is Caring is providing live, hands-on guidance sessions to walk you through a variety of these topics. You can see all of our upcoming sessions. They're all available in June. They're all free. Of course, we have more sessions coming soon, topics such as SPFx Samples contribution, CLI for Microsoft 365, Power Platform, and user experience sessions. Next week, after the monthly call, is our monthly AMA, which is going to feature Graph and MGT. So if you'd like to join, please go to aka.ms/sharing is caring. Again, non-recorded, all free, hands-on, excellent opportunities for you to ask questions and get involved. So we'd love to see you in any of the sessions, aka.ms/sharing is caring. Patrick, back to you.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, David, for those updates. And really encourage folks, check out this program if you're looking how to get started in PnP or just how to get started in open source in general. Tons of great content here, as well as great safe space sessions to ask questions, as David was saying. Certainly encourage you to get involved there. Tons of great first-time contributors coming out of the Sharing is Caring as well. So love seeing that. Love seeing new people get involved. So thank you to the folks running that, and thank you to all of you who have participated in that. And now next up is updates about SharePoint Framework from Vesa.
Thank you. Quick updates on here, because today we're going to talk about SharePoint Framework quite a lot and what's coming. But before we go there, and I think Luca, we have the slide in the end as well. We're looking into people to sign up for the Viva Connections private preview right now. This isn't really super private. The information what we share through this program can be actually openly shared, but you will only get the features enabled within your tenant and development environment by signing up. And you get access on the early bits on the features which we're going to show today. So that's why the AKMS Viva Connections preview register URL is your good friend of getting access on things. Thank you, David, for adding that on the chat as well. This is just a recap from the build slides, I think, where we actually mentioned where we are investing. Again, we have Luca, we have Pat and John from the SPFx team. Well, I'm from the SPFx team as well, but we have other people in the team as well in the call today to talk about especially the Viva Connection side of the house. We are still significantly planning to improve the team's extensibility model and Teams extensibility with SPFx, and of course not forgetting about the SharePoint portals and SharePoint intranet with SPFx either. Tooling updates, there was already nice updates related on Teams Toolkit v2 and version 2. We're going to do demos on that one later as well on these community calls, making things easier for Teams targeted development. And then there are store modernization coming, which is, I think we get the SharePoint store modernization released within later this month, hopefully. So the end-to-end store experience will be modernized, and then we're modernizing the tenant app catalog at the same, well, few months after that. So a lot of investments across the board. But let's go to other open source projects, and we'll concentrate on SPFx later part of the call.
Thank you, Vesa, for those updates. Now we'll go to Julie for updates on the PnPjs client-side library.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. So I just want to announce the 2.6.0 release is scheduled for June 12th. We have an update for client-side page improvements, site collection app catalog support, the user/calendar find rooms endpoint for graph, and some other documentation updates. So keep your feedback coming, or any updates that you have. Definitely get those in before June 12th. And we will try to roll them into that release. Also, just another recap of V3 development is well underway. Patrick and I did a lot of work last week and got pretty darn excited about how good things are starting to look and how they're coming together. We feel like we have some really good simplification, of the pipeline. And it's going to make it a lot more configurable and a lot more updatable and understandable by everyone. So we're really excited about that. You can absolutely see what we've been working on by checking out the V3 branch. It is a tad ugly, but it is there, and you can kind of start to get a feel for what our plans might be. If you have any feedback or comments or questions, certainly you can find the discussions that are linked off of pinned issue number 1636 and put any comments or questions into that. And also just a reminder that we did implement the GitHub action to lock closed issues. If you find a closed issue that you is related to an issue you're having, please do open up a new issue, and then you can reference it by using the # and the number of that issue, and that'll reference it back. But a new issue is the best way to move forward. And as always, follow us on M365 PnPjs on Twitter. And that is all I have. Back to you, Patrick.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Julie, for that. So CLI for Microsoft 365, a new version 3.10 is out with retrieving Azure AD app registration roles, uploading files with Graph, updating SharePoint site app permissions, improved retrieving of SharePoint site app permissions, and more. We've also got a bunch of new sample scripts. So these are scripts tying together multiple CLI commands to perform more complicated tasks. Love to see those coming together and the contributions around that space. npm install-g at pnp/cli-Microsoft 365 at latest will get you always the latest version of the CLI, and encourage you to check this out. It's a fantastic cross-platform tool to help configure and manage your SharePoint and development environments. And as well, SPFx reusable components, new updates here. So we've got the set of React controls, and these are the ones designed to be used in the body of your web parts or application customizers. 2.7 or the 2.x branch is for SPFx 1.11 and below, and the 3.x, of which 3.1 is the latest, is for SPFx 1.12.1 and presumably forward. So two separate packages, fully the same capabilities, I believe, with the two there, but it looks like there are some breaking changes coming in with like file picker, for example, returning an array, so you can pick multiple files there, which is very exciting to see that update. As well, updates to the React property controls. These are controls designed to be used in the edit pane of your web part. Again, the 2.x branch is for SPFx 1.11 and below, and the 3.x branch for SPFx 1.12.1 and above. So continue to see great improvements there. I want to thank everybody who's contributing to the controls, and certainly check these out. More information at the links there, SharePoint github.io/SPF FX property controls and SPF dev FX controls React to get you all the information there to use these and drop them into your project for a fast start. Next up is Modern Search, ak.ms/PnP Search. So this is all about building a modern search experience with web parts. So composing these web parts together to make a great search portal for your company or for your customers. The 4.2.0 release is now out, fixing some issues, as well as some additional languages, importing and exporting of the web part settings, as well as some great documentation updates, and now works with SPFx 1.12.1 and the UI Fabric v7. So excited to see these continue to evolve and grow. Certainly encourage you to check those out if you're interested in search. Great opportunity to contribute as well. 3.20 is out, I think later this week, I believe, is scheduled for release. And so this is the older version, so to speak, of the PnP search, but still supported, but mostly in maintenance mode at this point. A lot of the new capabilities are going to be going into the 4.x branch. And with that, we'll move on to the PnP SPFx samples with Hugo.
Thank you, Patrick. So I don't know about you folks, but I learn better by example than by reading documentation. So if you're like me, you're probably going to like the SPFx web part sample and extension repositories. There are hundreds of curated samples that are built and maintained by the community, and they should probably be the first place that you go to get started with an SPFx development task. So you can get to those by going to aka.ms SPFx extension and aka.ms SPFx web parts. But we want to make sure that everyone knows we welcome contributions by everyone. Doesn't matter if you have a small design to share or if you want to share a full solution, feel free to submit a pull request. And side plug here, if you don't know how to do a pull request, feel free to sign up for Sharing is Caring. That's exactly what the point of Sharing is Caring is about. So here's the updates for the last 2 weeks. We have an update to the data table by Chandani Prajapati. She added support for showing images within the data table, and she's upgraded it to SPFx 1.12.1. The page contributors web part, which actually shows all the people who contributed to a page in a nice web part, was updated by Ari Gunawan, and it's also updated to SPFx 1.12.1. It's great to see that we're starting to see more 1.12.1 samples. And then finally, Andre Laga updated his OneDrive Finder with MGT 2.2.0. And the OneDrive Finder, if you haven't seen it, it was demoed a few weeks ago, I think, and it's actually a really cool thing that actually allows you to navigate through your OneDrive. That's it. That's what we have in terms of updates. I just want to make it clear to everyone that we also test every sample, and we do take the time to test everything. So if you run into issues, please make sure to submit an issue using the issue template, and everyone, I hope, will look to help you. Thank you, Patrick. Back to you.
Thanks, Hugo, for that. Love to see all the new samples and all the updates to the samples week over week. Is really fantastic, and it's a really valuable resource for the entire community. So great work, everybody there, and thank you. And again, small samples are just as good as big, complicated samples. So don't feel like if your thing isn't complicated enough to submit as a sample. We love to see all of them. So thank you to everybody there. And now we'll move over to optional picture time. So if you are interested, please do turn on your camera.
I will share my screen so we can actually see how we are looking all together. There we go. And let's see. There is again the limit of 50 people doing this. I'm not going to take a spot So leaving other people some spots. Let's wait a few more minutes. I think we'll get to the 50 typically on this quite easily. Let's see if I can actually, let's see, one more. I'll put my video on, and if I get a one spot. Oh, I got there. Ooh, cool. And I think we are hitting the limit. Oh, still people are joining. Okay, so let's do some hand waving. Thanks everybody. Somebody was already doing that. So welcome. Thank you everybody from the community side and from our side being part of this community. And hopefully by end of this year, we can actually meet face to face. Thanks everybody. And let's jump on the demo topics. Patrick, do you want to take it?
We got a great demo here from Luca, Pat, and John on getting started developing mobile experiences with Microsoft Viva Connections / a preview of SharePoint Framework 1.13. So Luca, Pat, and John, take it away.
Thank you very much. Funny picture. It looks like I just got hit by something and I'm, but anyway, let me share my screen.
I needed to find a picture. You're a really hard person to find a picture, and a LinkedIn picture does not work really well nowadays. You should actually fix that. So.
Of course. I can't see the chat. So if you guys have any questions, stuff like that, please feel free to stop me.
I'll keep on tracking on that. So, okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So thank you for being here. Welcome, guys. Today, John, Pat, and I will talk about the Viva Connection extensibility overviews. How do you work and create extensibility cards for Viva Connection dashboard? And Viva Connection is part of the new Viva effort that is being built on top of Teams to be able to have new functionalities and experiences in Teams that target specific areas and specific workers. For Viva Connection specifically, we have more than the dashboard. We have the dashboard, the feed, and the resources, and they are solutions and experiences that have been created primarily for Teams and Teams Mobile, but they will also surface in the desktop as well as in the pages for SharePoint as modern pages and as a web part. In this slide, what you can see a mobile experience on the left, and then you can see an authoring experience in the center, and then how it will look like, an example on how it will look like in modern pages, as well as in Teams desktop. And we will go through the mobile experience and through the dashboard authoring experience later during this conversation. So in terms of Dashboard Connect, is basically one of the solutions that have been built as part of Viva, and it gives you the ability to provide access to applications and pages and resources that users normally use during their day-by-day basis. So it's, as you can see, it's basically a solution that was built primarily for mobile and for frontline workers or for people that normally don't have a desk. So they need to be able to quickly access to applications that they use during day-by-day job. There is an authoring experience that is very easy to customize and very easy to create. We'll go about that in a minute. It basically gives the ability to link existing resources as well as through the power of SharePoint Framework, able to create custom solutions that users can use in mobile or desktop. And because it's powered by SharePoint and modern pages technologies, you can also use features like audience targeting to be able to target specific cards to a specific set of users as part of your organization. In terms of the component of the dashboard, basically, you can have some kind of the areas where you can do customizations. You can customize the company logo, the nav bar, and the company name is something that you can configure at Teams level and then will surface everywhere. And then you can have multiple different set of cards inside of cards. Right now, we'll start with 2 different templates, medium and large, but we will move forward to have more templates in the future based on the feedbacks and based on the evolution of the technology and the dashboard itself. And as I've said before, we will have a set of out-of-the-box card as well as the ability to create custom cards. So how do you assemble the dashboard? As the ability to create the dashboard and the kind of operation and process to create a dashboard can be split across multiple people within the organization. On the left side, you have the configurations part of the story where the SharePoint and the Teams admin are working together to pick an home site where the dashboard will live, and configure the Viva Connections application within Teams, where you can set the corporate logo, the branding, and basically you can target the application in Teams to be available to a subset of users or all of your users. Then you have the business units, where basically is the one that is selecting the applications and is selecting the functionalities that the dashboard will surface to different kind of users inside the organization. System integrators and ISVs can be involved to basically create links to existing Teams application as well as custom cards. We'll talk about that in a second. And then the corporate communication role is the one that is in charge of building the dashboard and create the dashboard by using the dashboard authoring tool. And in terms of dashboard authoring tool, it's a web-based tool very similar to modern page authoring. You go to a specific place in your home site, you select the dashboard gets created, and then from there you can go and select existing cards using a picker experience that is very similar to the webpack picker in modern pages. From there, you can select, put the picker in the card, and then you can configure the card by using a property pane experience. And once you have provided some kind of information as part of your card, you will then be able to have the card available in the mobile experience as well as the desktop and web. And from there, the card can have multiple functionalities. The card itself provides a quick glance of the information that the user can interact with or consume very quickly. The card can also give the ability to the user, where configured, to deep dive in a quick view experience where you have more a full body or a full video real estate where additional information can be provided and additional level of interaction can be provided to the user itself. And then finally, where configured, the card or the quick view can also point to an external application that can be either a web page or a modern SharePoint page, an external link, as well as a Teams application. And we will go through this process a little bit later. So, as I said before, choose different card size. You can customize actions by provide capability of interaction to card clicking as well as button submit. Icons can be customized. We can support dynamic values because this is powered by SharePoint Framework. We'll talk about that in a second. You can add different icons and different images, and we will provide some kind of out-of-the-box card, just like the ability to link to SharePoint applications, Teams personal apps and bots, as well as external links and other first-party applications. And as I said before, because this is powered by SharePoint publishing, you will be able to target audience targeting card so that you can target different cards to different set of people as part of your organization. Any questions so far, or I can go with the demo?
Let's actually do two questions. Vartaman is asking, this will be released as part of the Teams mobile app itself, or how does it actually work?
Yes, so the release will be like any other first-party application. At one point, the Teams administrator will see Viva Connection as an app available in their portfolio of applications provided by Microsoft. The Teams administrator will then be able to enable or disable the app for users, and when that happens, the app will surface in mobile and later this year in Teams desktop as well.
So just to recap, it's not part of the Teams mobile app itself. It's a first-party additional application which we configure from an administrative perspective to be visible for our employees when they open up a Teams mobile.
That is correct.
Yes, just to recap on that. And then there's a question, what happens if you don't set a home site as part of the suggested step of setting it all up? I think the John answered that partly already, that it would mean that then the Viva connection capabilities would not be available because they only work right now in the home site, correct?
At least for the dashboard, that is correct. Not sure about the resources and feed. I think they will still work, but for the dashboard, you absolutely need a home site.
Good. Let's go to the demo.
Cool. So let's talk about authoring the dashboard. And close and refresh. So this is the dashboard. The way I went here, just so you know, I go to my communication site, and when the flight is enabled, I click on New, I click on Dashboard, and here it points me to the dashboard. You can see a blank canvas right now because there are no cards, but by the time I click edit, voila, I can see the dashboard here. Clicking add the card, I can see all the cards that are available here in a similar way that you can also use for adding webparts in a mobile page. Don't spend too much time analyzing what you're seeing here. There are a bunch of demos, and this is a tenant that we're using for development. So some of these cards that you can see here will not be available for you by the time you join private beta. So you will have Themes app, SharePoint pages, card designer. You will absolutely have web links and more tasks and some of the other first-party applications when they're available. So let's start with a SharePoint page as an example. So I can add a SharePoint page. Here the card is ready. I can click. I have configuration experience, which is very similar to modern page webpart configuration. From here, I can select the card size, and you can see that the card itself changed immediately. In the example of a SharePoint page, you can select which kind of site you want to go with. Here it is, see? So select the communication site, you can see that this can change, and then you can select a page here, and you can see that search will autocomplete, and at the moment you select something, you automatically go and the card reflects your changes. You can also change the title and the description here. So you can incorporate, and you can say Viva Connection. As you can see, things will change in real time. You can select the image, and then you can talk about audience targeting, where we'll talk about that in a second, where you can go and target a specific card to a specific set of people. So from here, I can preview. When I'm in preview mode, if I click, you will see that the experience is that it will open and go directly to the page that I pointed to by opening a new tab inside of my browser. So if I take a look at other cards, another card that I can use here, so I can close preview, I can add another card, I can use the Themes app. Themes app is a card that we built as a first-party application or first-party card to be able to make people ready from the get-go without requiring customizations to create basically useful dashboard. And the purpose of the Themes app card is that you can connect Teams personal apps and bots directly to the card. Direct to the dashboard via the card. And basically the way that this does is once you select the card and you can search for an application, you can search for Tiny Pulse as an example, you will see that that will pre-populate the information on the card based on what the description and the title of the app has been set by the developer inside the Teams manifest. When you preview that, the way that the card behaves is basically act as a launcher for the Teams application. So for example, here for Tiny Pulse, what will happen is that when I click, it will go and will open Teams. I am using the web app here for now because I am on the call, so I don't want my Teams Rich client to do something here. But basically what will happen is that it will open Teams, and then it will point out directly to the application that is being set. So you can see here, it lands the Tiny Pulse, and I'm able to use here directly from the browser or the Rich client, wherever I am. In case of the mobile, if I click on the card, it will open Tiny Pulse or whatever app I set on the mobile. The other interesting card that I want to talk about here is the close preview card designer. And this is an interesting card that we created in order to be able to create custom cards without using code as an option. So here, what I can do, I can use the power of adaptive card to be able to build quick view experience on my card. So let's say, for example, that I've created this card. I call this food court. I can put an icon that I have over here. See that it changes immediately. I can put text and description. And, oh, sorry. Select menu. Let's put something like that. I can select a card action, so it means that I can say that the card can do something when I click on the card or do nothing. In this case, I want to do nothing because I want to have a button that is, I can put this as view. And when I put the button, what I want to do, I want to go to a link or I want to show a quick view. For this example, I want to have a quick view. So I can select over here. And what you can see here is that I can basically use adaptive card to build my quick view experience without being a developer. And how will I do that? I will go to the adaptive card designer. And I will be able from here to select one of these options. So for example, let's say that I want this card as an option. And from here, I can copy this and I can put that in my template JSON. Let me go one more time here, sorry. Yes. So I go here, I go to the template. I put this, then I go back on the data, I select the data, and I go back here. Let me move Bezier out and put the data here. And then from now, when I click on preview, what you can see is that if I click on the button, yay, I will have exactly the same experience that I would have had here in the card. And this gives the ability to users to be able to build card without using custom code, without using SPFx. It is kind of an alternative for scenarios where you need to create something quick and you don't have a developer environment, or you don't have a developer handy that you can use to build some kind of solutions for the card, for the dashboard. One last thing that I want to show is the audience targeting. So as I was saying, you can target card to different set of users by using publishing audience targeting feature. So, and what happened here is that if I select a card, just like the default card here, I can select one of the groups that I have as part of this tenancy. And the cool features that we built over here is that when you select the group and you go to preview, now you can see that there is a new select audience to preview as that gives you the ability to see what will happen if you are a different set of users. So for example, here you can see that I only see 2 cards, but if I select test as a group, voila, I can see that every person that will be part of this group will have this experience when you go to the dashboard. If you're not part of this group, you will see that that's what you see. So then I can close the preview. I can go here, I can remove, and I can republish. And that's it from my side. John, do you want to go and demo the dashboard?
Yes. Sorry, do you want to maybe field some questions while I'm trying to get this?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
I think Simon was looking for pizza. How does that work? You showed the food sample. Come on, you're missing.
I see, but it's 7:35 here. I was looking more for a croissant.
Yes, sure. So there was a question related on licensing, which says right now the connections, Viva Connections, what we're showing in these demos do not require any licensing. So it's part of your SharePoint and Microsoft Teams licensing model. So
I believe this is true as long as you are at least E3, but
yeah, sure.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, yes. But we're not requiring you to do additional investments on this. Also, a good note, you can get access already on the early bits and features and functionalities as long as you sign into the preview program, and will then enable the features. This is basically designed for you to get early access. If you're a MVP or a person who does videos or demos on conferences, you can already demo the stuff as well. So there is no NDA for any of that. So you'll get access on bits as long as you register that URL, which is in the chat right now. And we'll show that one again slightly later.
So while we're waiting for John, another thing I want to talk about here is availability.
That's a good question. Sorry, Luca. Does the card web part work outside of the Viva? Can we use it to create a card dashboard on a regular SharePoint sites? That's a good question.
So very interesting question, slightly different questions. So I will start tackling the later. So yes, we are building the ability to surface the dashboard in modern pages outside of Viva Connections. There are still discussions in place if we are only showing the dashboard on your home site or your corporate site, or if we show the dashboard anywhere else. But the dashboard, it's something that you will be able to put in Modern Pages in SharePoint. For the other question, which is, can I also put a card? Yay, John, works. Can I also put a card outside of the dashboard in a page similar to what I can do with web parts? This is something that we are actively considering. No decision has been made right now, but it's one of the options that we are considering for cards to be also alive and visible in pages outside of the dashboard.
Cool. I have the two comments. There's questions related on the preview still on the chat. So just to recap, you will need to sign up for the preview URL, which is now in the chat and will be shown in the slides pretty soon as well. It will be in the recording summary tomorrow in a blog post as well, to be able to get access on early bits, which is SharePoint Framework 1.13, and that we are able to enable this preview functionality within your tenant, because we need your URL to be able to do that. And the second good comment from Tim Duncan is, me, shut up and take my money. Microsoft, no, we don't need it. Thank you. So it's all for free. So good. So let's go to John, to your demo.
Yeah, so Luca showed the dashboard on the web. And so now I'm going to show the dashboard as part of the Teams mobile app. So this will not be available as part of the private preview. But we do expect it to hopefully be available broadly later this year. No specific timeline on that yet. And so, like we've mentioned, Viva Connections will be available just as a Teams app. So that means that you'll be able to pin it, and if you're a Teams admin, be able to do all the sort of automatic pinning as well. And we'll have branding support. So for a lot of people, organizations, the app itself may not ever surface as Viva Connections, and will hopefully surface as the organization's name and brand. And so we'll see all the cards that Luca had already added onto the dashboard. It'll be a lot of the same functionality. I can go to the Tiny Pulse. I can go deep link into the Tiny Pulse app. Similarly, I can deep link into all sorts of other apps as well, and go right back into my dashboard. And so this is a great place to put all the different types of various functionality across teams into one location, and also have the ability to access quick snippets of info. So for example, Luca's food port card, I can go and interact with that as well. And you'll see that I get this rich experience just like I did on the web. What's kind of pretty interesting about this whole setup is that this is actually being rendered using React Native. And so you're able to actually extend the Teams app natively using the same JavaScript code that you're writing currently with adaptive card extensions on the web. And so as a developer, a lot of this is really transparent, and we do a bunch of heavy lifting to be able to have it render natively on the web and on the mobile app.
Yep. Cool. Thanks a lot, John. So let's talk about the power of the custom card and how SharePoint Framework can help you building custom cards for Viva Connection dashboard. As we saw before, and now John was showing right now during the demo, in the mobile app, you can have a card, and then you can have a quick view, and then the quick view can deep link either in an app that can be a web, or it can be a Teams application. And all of these capabilities are available for developers, so that developers can go and create custom cards for Viva Connections. So let's talk about the components and the parts of a custom card that the developer can use to build extensions for Viva Connection dashboard. So the card is the first experience, and it's basically the only one that is required. As a developer, you basically use the card to be able to provide a quick glance or a quick set of actions that the user can go and can operate in order to make his or her job done, or be able to consume the information that he or she needs. And as I said a second ago, this is the only required part of your custom component. If you create a custom component for Viva Connection dashboard, the card is the only one that you need to do in order to be able to surface and exist as part of the dashboard experience. You can also create a quick view after that, which is basically another experience, a more immersive experience that you can provide to the end user by clicking on the card itself, or by clicking on one of the buttons that can be available as part of your card. just like John said before, by using the power of Adaptive Card, it provides additional actions or additional information that the user can consume. And this is an optional experience. You can build your solution that is just a card. You can build your solution that is a card and a quick view, and you can select the interaction or the transition between the card and the quick view by being that a button or by clicking on the card itself. And then the last thing that you can do as a developer, you can also be able to deep link an existing application, being a page, an external page, a modern page, or a themes application as part of your custom card experience. Again, you can decide which kind of app to link, and the dashboard author can then decide how to trigger that experience where available, either by clicking on the button or by clicking on the card itself. And like the quick view, this is also an optional experience that you can provide here. As I was saying before, we were providing different kind of first-party experiences. We talked about the Themes app. We talked about the card designer and the SharePoint pages. We will also have other first-party experiences and second-party experiences, ability to connect with tasks and other functionalities that we provide as Microsoft. And of course, we have the ACEs or adaptive card extensions. And those are new type of SPFx components that has been created and designed primarily and specifically for a user experience inside the Viva Connection dashboard. As I said before, they work both in dashboard as well as modern pages. We are still discussing if they are showing in modern pages just as part of the dashboard experience in modern pages. And when I say dashboard experience in modern pages, basically we are creating a new web part called dashboard that will surface the entire dashboard that you can put inside pages. But we are also considering to put the card as isolated components together with web parts inside pages as well. Again, the decision has not been finalized yet, but it's something that we are actively considering. The adaptive card extensions can be used or are used so that you can build experiences like cards and quick view as part of the dashboard. And it's just another SharePoint Framework component, which means that all the goodness and all the capabilities that SharePoint Framework provides will be available here. So for example, I don't know, do you want to consume APIs that are being exposed by Microsoft Graph or any other application that has been registered in AD? In the same way you're doing that with WebPart, you will be able to consume that and surface that information as part of the card or as part of the quick view experience. There is also an interesting thing to mention here. So as John said during the demo, because the card, it is using native rendering in devices and experiences that supports, for example, the mobile experience, we had to pick and select a framework so that we can basically transition from web view to native rendering depending on the case. So for that reason, we basically created kind of a separation between data and UX. So for the UX, we will use adaptive card for the quick view, and for the card itself, we still use adaptive card under the cover to build the card experience. But the card experience would not be something that the developer can change in terms of UX. And basically what I mean by that is that, I'll talk about it in a second, we will be able to provide some kind of templating that the developer can use to instruct the framework on how to build the card at runtime. So as I said before, you have the ability to have dynamic title and icon, you have the ability to have the descriptions, you have the ability to have buttons that can be static or dynamic, which means that you can basically change the button at runtime, you can consume data and surface this data at the button at runtime. These are kind of attributes of the card that the developer can set either at runtime or at code time, and this framework will use this information to build the card. When we go to the quick view, then the developer will be able to provide the entire adaptive card JSON payload, and we will basically render natively or in web, depending on where the dashboard is surfacing the adaptive card JSON. And then you can link to an external application. So let's talk about the card anatomy. When you create a card, you have the ability to have views, which describe the content of the card or a quick view state. And you can have different views but at the beginning we will have 3 different kind of views, but you can have more later. And depending on the view, you will be able to have different kind of attributes available at runtime or at code. So for example, you can have an icon property. The icon property is available everywhere. The title is also available on all of the views. The primary text as well. But if, for example, you have only image URL, the image URL is an attribute or a property that is only available in the card view, the image card view. And the description is only available in the other view, which, sorry, I had a glitch in my demo or in my deck where basically it's only available on one of the card views. And when we go back to the quick view instead, we will be able to give you a method that you can use to basically feed the runtime to the entire JSON adaptive card JSON payload. And in that case, we will, just like John showed in the demo before, the framework will be able, the runtime will be able to take a look at the JSON and render the JSON either natively if you are in a mobile, or in the web view if you are in a modern page or in another devices that support web view. Those are some of the example of the previews and the card templates that are available out of the box. As I said, this is the beginning. By the time we launch, I don't know if we will have more or less, but for sure, by the time that Viva Connections and the dashboard evolves, we are planning to have more kind of templates and views that you can use to build your solutions for Viva Connection dashboard. And demo time. John, do you want to show us how to build that? Or do we want to ask some question first? Vesa, up to you.
As we have 10 minutes, let's go to John's demo and spend time on the code, explaining how these things are being built.
Yeah, I was trying to be in the 10 minutes window, so it's a decent job. Go.
Yeah, all right, so just get started. It's just like using SPFx to create web parts or other extensions that we've kind of covered. So you have to install the Microsoft SharePoint generator. And then all you have to do is run yo at Microsoft SharePoint, run with plus beta. These are currently beta features. This will run. Start a new window. Okay, here we go. So you'll just a familiar Yeoman prompt, except we'll have a new option down here called the adaptive card extension. We'll select that, give it a name, call it Hello World, go to default options. So select SharePoint Online. So Viva Connections will only be available with SharePoint Online. Select the adaptive card extension. And like Luca had demonstrated, we have 3 current templates that you can use for the card view. We may expand to more. And you go ahead and select them from here to have them scaffolded automatically for you. So basic, image, and primary. I'll select primary, give it a name. This will scaffold. It'll go and install all the various packages. I'll kind of skip this for now. But this is what the scaffolding will end up looking like. So this is what the anatomy of adaptive card extension. It'll look really familiar to web parts. We have our adaptive card extension class here, different props and states. These are a couple new things that allow us to be able to ensure that the right types are enforced throughout the card and the quick view. There's a couple things that are interesting here to note. We have this notion of a card navigator and a quick view navigator. I'll expand on this a little bit later in the advanced demo. But this allows us to manage the different views that you have between the cards. So you could have multiple card views that you kind of switch between and navigate through as a stack. You could also have multiple quick views as well. We're also going to, by default, scaffold the property pane as a Webpack chunk. What we found is that a lot of web part code ends up being a part of the property pane, and so it's nice to have it by default chunk. And so this is a new pattern that we will by default scaffold. And so there's not really a lot going on here for the basic card. I'll just go ahead and we'll do a bit of serve. One thing to note, if you're familiar with the SharePoint framework, is that adaptive card extensions will not work with the local workbench. We're sort of moving away from that. And so the support for being able to use GulpServe will only work within SharePoint, either on a page using the debug portion parameter or within the hosted workbench. So I'm running GulpServe now. Refresh, the warning goes away, and I'm be able to add my Hello World card. We also, by default, scaffold into a new group called Dashboard. This will be where all the different cards will be on the workbench. Click Hello World, and here is my adaptive card extension. So you won't be able to interact with it while you're in edit mode, so we'll have to switch to preview. And when in preview, then we can go ahead and interact with the card. So this is what, by default, we scaffold for the basic primary text card view. And so we'll have some default properties here, being able to change the card icon up. Currently, we support only image URLs for the card icon, but later on in the beta, we'll be able to we'll be changing this up to being able to select fluent icons that will render natively and be themable. Okay.
Cool. Thanks, John. So one thing to mention here in terms of availability, as we said before, and as Vesa mentioned, you sign for the private beta program, and you will be able to get access to internal version of 1.13 where this is available. However, we are also working to release 1.13 beta as part of the new way that we are now taking for releasing a public version of SharePoint Framework, where we will release a beta version first, then we will release a release candidate, and then a final release. And in the beta version, once that has been released, the idea is that you will be able to access the bits for adaptive card extensions from there. Just like John mentioned before, because we also need to do some work on your tenancy, one of the things that we are working is to be able to enable card development in the workbench, so that when 1.13-beta will be available publicly, you will be able to do what John did, similarly to what John did right now, which basically is the ability to create a card using 1.13 beta and surface that in the workbench.
Yep. Yeah, so we had a more advanced code demo prepared, but we're running a bit short on time. So real quick, what I do want to cover is what you end up getting once you sign up with the private beta and being able to actually get access to the GitHub. So once you have registered for the private beta and you get added to the GitHub, you'll be able to have access to the GitHub, where we'll be tracking all the issues. Additionally, we'll have a wiki here that covers all the different hands-on labs that go in depth about all the different new functionality that's going to be available. We're also tracking release notes as we release additional private beta packages to the private feed here. What we, like Luca mentioned, with SPFx 1.13, we do plan on moving eventually to a public beta later this summer. And so once 1.13 beta gets released, we'll be making the ACE functionality available publicly as well. Although, so that what that means is that you'll be able to use and create the adaptive card extensions on the workbench. You still have to go through the sign-up process if you want to use the rest of the Viva Connections functionality, like being able to create a dashboard on your comp site or on your home site, and being able to interact with any additional parts we make available through Viva Connections.
Cool. I think that's it. Patrick, we're running out of time, so let's actually wrap up. And really cool stuff. Good to get the excitement on the chat as well. But let's, from a timing perspective, we don't want to take more than 1 hour.
Really exciting stuff to see there, the new stuff coming with Viva Connections and the new opportunities to do some great solutions and to really kind of tie a lot of things together for your end users. So excited to see this getting out into preview, and as well excited to see what all of you are going to build on these new capabilities. So again, to register for that private preview, aka.ms/viva/connections/preview/register, just abusing the ability to put slashes in the aka links now, and getting early access for the next release of the SharePoint framework, building these native mobile experiences for Viva Connections, leveraging your existing SPFx knowledge. Really powerful story to tell there, and excited to get that into everybody's hands. So check that private preview out, and I want to again thank Luca, Pat, and John for coming on the call today and doing the great demo. And thank you to all of you for joining us on the call today. The recording will be available in about 24 hours on our YouTube channel. You can follow us on Twitter at M365PnP or at Microsoft 365 Dev. Consistency is key. Next SPFX call will be June 17th at the same time, and our next general dev call will be next Thursday, June 10th. At the same time, all our community calls are available there at ak.ms/m365PnP. And of course, there's a whole host of other community calls for you to check out and see how these fit into your schedule, and check them out either in the recordings or live. And then we're going to be looking at this. We're going to be taking a break over the summer and then kind of reconfiguring a bit the community calls just to make it a little bit easier for folks to track what is coming up and make sure they don't miss anything. So thank you all for joining us today. Thank you again to Luca, Pat, and John for the great demos. And thank you to all of you for being with us here in the call. Have a great rest of your week. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, I can say a bunny. Awesome.